Welcome into College Football Smothered and Covered. My name is Barrett Sallee. I really appreciate you checking out the show, the revamped edition. For those who aren't aware, SEC Smothered and Covered was really big back between 2016 through 2018. It had to shut down for reasons that I'm not necessarily excited about, but we're back. We're nationwide, and we are covering the SMU Mustangs today. Their head coach, Rhett Lashlee, will join us a little bit later in the show. A reminder, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Rumble, wherever you can get your video or audio, we are there. So make sure you subscribe. Give us a 5-star, give us a 1-star, write a review, positive, negative. I don't really care. We like constructive criticism here at the show. And so please provide that. The crew here at College Football Smothered and Covered absolutely take that to heart. Now, again, college football is undercovered. So go listen and go watch to everybody across the Believe Network, Late Kick with Josh Pate, the SDS podcast, everybody. Go listen to them because you deserve college football 24/7, 365, and we are here to provide that. Go to breakingt.com/smothered and covered. You can get viral t-shirts across the board, legacy shirts, shirts for moments that just happened. BreakingT.com has it for you. So BreakingT.com/smothered and covered if you want to check those out. Joined now by one of the best coaches in the entire country. And if you don't know him, you should. And you're going to get to know him right now. He is Rhett Lashlee, the head coach of the SMU Mustangs. Rhett, what's going on?
Well, with an introduction like that, I got to figure out how much I got to pay you, but thanks.
I can send you my Venmo. You know.
Yeah, perfect. Well, lots going on. We just finished spring ball. The portal's open, so what better?
Busy time for sure. So let's take it back. Last year, SMU reached new heights in terms of the modern era. You've led them to a place where they haven't been in not just a generation. I think you can count back to ours, and we don't even remember when SMU had its glory days. So just what's it been like being the guy in charge of this new renaissance of SMU football?
It's been a lot of fun. You know, I feel really just fortunate to be at the right place at the right time. You know, having the chance to be here a couple years back as a coordinator, I knew the potential of this place, and just the city of Dallas is great. Our university is fantastic. We've got a ton of support now for what we're doing. You know, and then obviously the conference changed. So it's just everything has kind of been trending up for us over the last 5 years or so here. And, you know, I felt like I got to be here on the front end of that when in 2019, you know, we went 10-2 when Sonny was here, and then left for a few years and came back. And so it's been exciting to be a part of. And then, you know, break through last year, win a championship at the same time. We're going to the ACC and building a brand new facility and so on and so forth. Everything's just really trending up at the right time. So I just feel like I'm fortunate to be the guy who gets to be here when that's happening.
Trending up is a quarterback in Preston Stone, a guy who was phenomenal last year until his injury, his season-ending injury. And, you know, he's going to be back for you guys. And you read and you watch and you look at all the accolades and all the previews for the ACC and even for national quarterbacks. He's at or near the top of a lot of those lists. So for those who have not seen him, for those who, you know, don't necessarily know a lot about him, you know, talk a little bit about who he is, what he does well, and what you expect of him in the ACC.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think we've got a really good quarterback situation here. You see Preston having his first full year as a starter last year. He's 11-2 as a starter in his career, and you know, led our team to the conference championship game last year. And I felt like he was a guy that, you know, we've been spoiled in the past with 4 straight years with either Shane Buechele or Tanner Mordecai, transfer quarterbacks who had gone to places like Texas and OU and kind of gone through the first early stages of quarterback development, just playing in games and struggling and breaking, you know, doing all those things. When they got to us, they were experienced. Well, we had to, you know, grow with Preston. You know, he started last year for the first time. 2 of his first 4 games were at Oklahoma, at TCU. So we knew that would be a learning curve. And I thought somewhere around the 5th or 6th game, he really settled in, got extremely confident in who he was and who we were, and just played really well the second half of the season, particularly the last 2 games at Memphis and then against Navy right before he got hurt. He was probably playing at an extremely high level. What he does well, I mean, you know, he can run around, he can extend plays, he can make plays off schedule very, very well. He's a solid runner. We joke around here, we call him Fran Tarkenton. Nobody in this generation knows Fran Tarkenton. So then we say, okay, like a Johnny Manziel, and then they get it. But what he does so well is he can run around, extend plays, and kind of do things that a lot of guys can't do, but he doesn't turn the ball over. I think last year he was 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So when it's not there, he doesn't force it. We're excited. He's now cleared and healthy as of about a week ago. Should have a great summer. Excited to have him back. At the same time, I say we have a good quarterback situation because when he got hurt, Kevin Jennings steps right in and goes and wins the conference championship game for us. And so he had a fantastic spring, and we're really excited to have him as well.
You mentioned spring and recapping spring practice. You obviously didn't have Preston Stone. Your running back situation, though, is quite interesting. Kamar Wheaton, I should say, had a long run. Just where does that room stand in terms of what it needs to do to take some pressure off of Preston Stone?
I think it's really deep. We ran the ball better last year. We could have ran it. We still would like to be better. We ran it better last year than we did the first year. And I think our run game on offense, defense, is what kind of put us over the top to win a championship. But we've got a lot of talent in the running back room. We've got Jalen Knighton coming back as a senior who had transferred from Miami. We got L.J. Johnson coming back who had transferred in last year from A&M. We have Kamar Wheaton coming back. And then Brashard Smith has come in from Miami. He's a little bit of a hybrid running back, slot receiver, return guy, but he's extremely, extremely explosive and a versatile guy. And then we got a freshman coming in, Derek McFall, who's a really, really good player. So we've got good depth. I think what we're looking for is all those guys could be 1,000-yard back. All those guys have the ability to be the feature back. And it's kind of who can do it all, who can pass protect, who can take care of the football, who can catch it, and who really steps up and kind of takes that thing and runs with it. And it's a good problem to have because we think we can win with all those guys.
As an offensive guy, do you sometimes just sit back and say, dang, how lucky am I right now with all of these weapons and being able to sit there and draw up plays that you might not have ever drawn up before?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it makes it fun. I mean, good players make better coaches, that's for sure. The unique thing is, especially at wideout last year and a lot of the guys we have returning and mentioned in several running backs, there's only one football. And so you're trying to get everyone involved and that deserves to play and that can make plays for you and spread the ball around. And at the same time, we're used to having a Rashee Rice or a Charleston Rambo or a whoever that puts up big numbers, a James Prochet. And yet last year we didn't. But we had 8 receivers, the only team in the country with 8 receivers, I think, with over 30 catches, over 300 yards receiving. So it spread it out a lot more. And in this transfer portal world, it's unique. And those guys have bought into the team concept and bought into what we're doing. And there's a lot of wideouts we have here that we could catch 100 balls. And there's, like I said, all those running backs, if we just hand it to them, I think they could rush for 1,000 if they stay healthy. But, we're also able to keep the running backs fresh throughout the game and throughout the season. And we're also able to do the same thing at wide receiver. And so hopefully that continues to work for us.
One of your strengths last year was the offensive line. I think you led the AAC in sacks allowed, but there is a little bit of a turnover this year. What did you make of the spring game, especially considering, in spring games, if anybody gets near your quarterback or is in the same zip code, you whistle it dead. So did you learn anything about your offensive line and how you're going to build that this year?
Yeah, I did. I mean, the spring game kind of was what it was. In the spring, you're not as deep as you'll be in the fall. And when we split them up to 2 teams, we really broke up the top offensive line. So that one really didn't learn a lot. But throughout spring, we did. We lost. We lost one starter in Branson Hickman, who'd been our center here for a long time, and Branson did a great job here. And Justin Osborne, who was probably our best offensive lineman last year, played a lot of guard in the last probably 4 or 5 games. Played tackle when we had some injuries. We've moved him to center, and where we maybe lose experience that we have with Branson, we've really upgraded in athleticism. I mean, Justin Osborne's an NFL player, and what he can do at center, running the show, he had a great spring, is I think going to make us much more athletic. And then, Logan Parr missed the spring, but he's a returning starter at left guard. Ja'Kai Clark is now back, had transferred in from Miami where he's played over 40 games. He's competing at that other guard spot. And then I think where we actually are maybe improving is at the offensive tackle position. I think we're more athletic. Savion Byrd came in from Oklahoma, and he worked at right tackle all spring. PJ Williams worked at left tackle. PJ kind of took over that job towards the end of the year last year. Played some guard too, but he's predominantly been at left tackle since about the last 3 or 4 games of the year last year. And so I think we're more athletic at tackle and center. We need to develop some depth, but hopefully that athleticism will help us as we go into the ACC.
I mean, you know better than most. You've been around. You've been in the SEC. You've been in the ACC. That to win championships, you have to have 8 or 9 defensive linemen. There's just no way around that. Especially now for you guys, going into the ACC from a group of 5 school. Do you find that challenging? Is that one of the biggest challenges you look at and say, "Dang, we need to load up," and not a lot of these guys really know who we are or expected us maybe to be in the ACC.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you've got to win in the trenches. I think that's probably, among other things, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, transition is not only great play on the O-line, D-line, but the depth. You may can put a starting unit out on both sides of the ball, but if you have some injuries on the O-line or when you run that second D-line unit out there, is there a big drop-off? And I think that's where, we're working hard to try to make sure that transition happens faster than expected. We got all of our edge pieces back from last year, and we added 2 more guys out of the portal. So we feel like we're really deep at the edge position, defensive end, and got some guys who can rush the passer. And I think we're even maybe better at that position than we were a year ago, and it was a strength for us. D tackle, we lost 3 of our top 4 guys, two of our starters. Elijah Chapman played here a long time, and then Jordan Miller, our nose tackle. But our defensive staff and our coaching staff did a great job. They went out. We've already brought in 5 transfers, and so we have bodies there. All guys that had played, at the Power 5 level last year, and so hopefully that depth, to your point, will help us because you have to have 8 or 9 deep. You can't just have 3 or 4 good ones to get through a whole season and whole schedule like we have.
How hard is that? In the transfer portal era, there are only so many, 6'5", 270-pound monsters with ballerina feet out there. So, how hard is that in the world of the transfer portal to actually build that kind of depth?
It's competitive. It's very competitive. With the NIL piece and the transfer piece, it just adds a layer to it. It's not new news that everyone wants great D linemen, and offensive tackles and that kind of stuff. But to go out and not only get a starting rotation, but get other guys who can almost play as co-starters to have that depth.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. And so, but you got to do it. And then the teams year in, year out that compete for championships are the teams that have that kind of depth. But yeah, you got to get guys to come and buy into the fact that you're going to play a lot of guys and be okay with that. But on the flip side, if you say, hey man, there's 80 plays a game average on defense. I mean, if we got depth, you can play 40 and you can be really productive with those 40 instead of being exhausted for the last 25 and hold up throughout the season. And so hopefully guys buy into that on both sides of the ball. And so far, I think we've done a good job of that. We're going to find out here in about 4 months how well we've stockpiled that depth and where we got to improve in the future. But I like where we are today, given such a short turnaround.
Well, and also for the NFL draft, if you have a little less wear on the tires, that certainly can help and help your guys, achieve their dreams. So that's awesome. So you guys are going to the ACC. I want to know, what was the first thing you thought the first time you heard that going to the ACC was even a possibility?
Okay, well, the first time I knew it was a possibility was probably almost a year ago now.
Okay.
I got hired. The Pac-12 was big buzz. We make sense geographically with the Big 12, but I knew that was never happening because Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, those schools didn't want us in there. So that just wasn't going to happen. And
they'd be like, hard pass. We don't want them in here.
So, but the Pac-12 was the one that got all the buzz. But about after my first season, spending time with our board chair, David Miller, and our athletic director, Rick Hart, the ACC kind of started coming up. And I think instantly all of us thought that was a better fit. Like, okay, we go to the East Coast. We fit more with those institutions as a university. SMU fits. We fit in the North Carolina, Virginia, the Duke, the Wake Forest. That's the world that our university fits in. The Eastern time zone fits with the Central time zone a lot better than going out west. And so I think deep down we were always hopeful. And it probably wasn't until about Memorial Day weekend of last year that it felt like, no, that's actually, they want us. Like, that's a real deal. Like, they want us, the Pac-12 wants us. And it was almost like a race to which one happens first.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of excitement with that. So that's the first time I knew it was kind of a possibility.
Well, I think it's probably better for y'all that you did not go to the Pac-12. Just saying, that would not have gone well.
No, it wouldn't.
So you've been in the conference, you played you've coached Power 5 schools as an assistant. How much does that that knowledge? Like, how much do you give your players? How much information do you say, like, hey, look, guys, I've been here. I've been to these places in the last 10 years. The ACC schools can get loud. Those stadiums can get loud. How much do you, is it your responsibility to do that? And how often do you do that?
We don't make too much of it, but I mean, it definitely helps that I've been there and a lot of our coaches have been there at that level, but also at, just recently in the ACC. I mean, I think it gives me a better understanding of the type of teams are going to play that on our schedule, what we need to compete at that level. We're fortunate in this transfer world. We got a lot of guys who've transferred from either ACC or SEC or Big 12 schools. So some of that will help. They're not foreign to what it's going to be like. And I think just our program in the last 5 years, we played TCU every year. We beat them a couple times in the last 5 years. We played at Maryland in a tight game. We played at OU last year. I mean, our guys have been on those stages, and they know that, we can play with those schools. We can beat those schools. And so that part of the confidence piece is fine. I think where the help for them is going to come into just knowing it's the week in, week out. Instead of playing 2 or 3 of those games in a year, you got 10 now. You got BYU, TCU, and 8 ACC games, like, in a row. And that's where, you got to be fortunate with injuries. The depth we've talked about, we got to see where we are there. But just understanding, like, the biggest difference is we can compete with everybody on our schedule, but we got to play well. We got to play really well. We got to play well for 4 quarters to put ourselves in position to win at the end of the game. And if we do, we'll have a chance to win a lot. Whereas maybe last year, Tulane, Memphis, had we have played UTSA, okay, we got to play well to win those games.
Yeah.
And then there was another handful of games that if we just didn't play bad, we'd find a way to win. And then if we played really well, it was 52-3 at halftime. Well, that's not going to happen anymore. Those days are gone. We got to play really well just to put ourselves in position to win a game in the 4th quarter. And I think that's the transition we're trying to get in our mindset more than anything.
Okay, we're talking during the open transfer portal window. I want to know right now, do you have somebody in your office hitting refresh over and over again to see who's in that portal?
Yeah, but it's not me. I'd go crazy.
But that would be quite a lot. That's for sure.
And yesterday was the 16th when it opened, and again, there's a lot of good that comes from it, but it's also sad when you see so many guys just jumping in and leaving, and it's going to work out really well for a lot of them, and then not so for others. As coaches right now, we're just doing everything we can to hope we've got a good culture and good relationships with our guys, and can keep them in a position where they believe in what we're doing and want to be here. But it is a double-edged sword because we're trying to keep our roster together. At the same time, we're trying to add 4 or 5 pieces out of the portal to add value to our roster. So you got to take, the give and take with it. And at the end of the day, when the dust settles, find out who's here, who wants to be here, and then go compete your tail off.
It seems like higher profile players around the country, especially at quarterback, are going in the winter portal as opposed to the spring portal. Were you surprised by that? Because really last year was the one that really showed us that. Are you surprised that it swayed heavily towards the winter?
No, not really. That makes sense. Guys want to get in there in the spring and go through spring ball. And look, I think one of the biggest problems we have in our game, besides the fact that there's no rules, is there's 2 portal windows. None of the other sports have 2. Basketball is going through one that's 45 days long, but it's one window. And, and
it's right after the season, which makes total sense.
One's enough. To do one in the middle of December makes no sense. It's not good academically, which we all say academics is the number one thing. Well, it affects the academic calendar for both them graduating wherever they graduate from. It's harder to get kids in mid-year for some schools. Like, there's just so many challenges, and it's in the middle of our season, bowl season, playoff season. Like, it just – to me, if you did one in the spring, just like they're doing in basketball, fine. It's at the end of the academic calendar year. Everybody's gone through a full spring and then a full fall and a full spring. And now they can decide, do I want to be there or not? If you don't, great. They have the opportunity to leave. Or just do one in December, like you said, if that's when they want to do it. But to do 2 of them, look, it's kind of like me going to the Cheesecake Factory and looking at that menu. There's a lot of great things on the menu, but at some point I have paralysis by analysis. There's too many options.
Right.
And if you just gave me 3, I'd make a good choice. And so I think that's where we could maybe clean it up, but they don't ask me what I think. And it doesn't shock me that specifically quarterbacks and a lot of guys go in December.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know if a lot of folks realize that sometimes this is a decision that you guys have to make. During bowl practices, you're dealing with all this other stuff. And I've heard from a couple coaches that they just simply had to miss a practice or two. Has that gone through your mind, and how do you deal with all of that?
Oh, it has. I mean, this year wasn't as bad. We played shortly after Christmas. My first year, we played BYU on December 17th. We found out on December 4th that we were playing BYU 13 days from then. And it was the day the portal was opening. It was in the middle of high school contact. High school signing day was like on December 15th or 16th that year.
You're losing assistants at some point?
Yeah. And so both years, and look, clearly it wasn't right because we lost both bowl games. Both years, it's like, okay, there's only 24 hours in a day. So you've got to recruit high school kids, you've got to retain your own roster, and you've got to recruit transfer kids, doing official visits, et cetera. In the BYU year, we're going to lose a week because we're at the bowl side of recruiting, and you got a bowl game to prepare for. I want to win the bowl game at all costs. So make no mistake, we did everything we could to win that game, but we chose recruiting first. We have we have to keep the guys on our team that can come back, and we have to bring guys in, or next year will be a disaster. And you know, you want to win a bowl game, but you want to, like we were able to do this year, go win a conference championship. And so it's a lot all at once. I think, you know, moving the high school signing day up is a win because at least that part's done. You're not running around for 2 weeks trying to just babysit a guy to sign that's already committed to you. But you still have to recruit your own roster. Who knows how they're going to settle out the portal window there. And some guys now are going to be playing playoff games and championship games and all that. And so, I could see why coaches have a choice to make. You know, you're going to do both, but if you can do both, one better than the other, which one is more important? And we shouldn't be in a position where we have to choose, I don't think.
No, it's crazy to me. I mean, the idea that you guys have to deal with all of that at one time, I just don't know how that's even possible. I mean, it's crazy.
And to interject, the idea that coaches are complaining, nobody's complaining. We work if they put 32 hours in a day, it'd still be tough.
Sure.
Like we work, we're not complaining. It's not what's best. And so,
no, I agree.
It's not what's best for the student athletes. It's not what's best for the schools. It's not what's best for us. So
it's not what's best for your families.
It's not what's best for anybody. And so it's like everything else is NIL, is transfers, is all that stuff. Fine. But we got to have some guardrails on it. And then not all at the same time when, you know, you can't do any of it well.
It's crazy. All right, last thing. The video game is coming back. Did you play it?
I'm fired up about that.
I am too. Did you play it, and what team did you lead to glory?
We might have a day where in fall camp or whenever it comes out, we just take the whole day off and we just play the game all day.
It's a holiday.
I'm stoked. Yeah. I can't wait to play my boys in it at home and whip them because I have a feeling I was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty good at the old game. You know, it was a different team most years. I'm going to get in trouble because I'm going to be on. I mean, I had Florida State there for a while, and I was pretty good.
Good choice.
I was pretty good with Florida State. I was pretty good on defense, and but it changed. It was cyclical year to year. But man, it was a blast. It was a blast. Just, you know, the pageantry of college football when you're in junior high, high school, and you're getting college, and you're getting to kind of virtual reality played in the game and do your seasons and all that. It was super fun, and I'm so excited for all the players in the game now, because when I played, you could be on the game. Even if it was just your number, you knew who you were, right?
You changed your name.
Now the guys are going to get paid to be on there, and they get to play the game that they're on. And that's super cool, man. And I think it's definitely time it came back.
I led Idaho to multiple national championships, which I think might be the peak of my athletics career.
So you either played it on junior varsity or you're a whole lot better than me. One of the two.
It was junior varsity. Definitely junior varsity.
Oh, man.
Rhett, appreciate you hopping on. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I know a lot of folks out there are excited to see what you guys will do in the ACC. And it sounds like from what you're saying, y'all are going to be looking good. Appreciate it.
Well, we're excited to be there, excited to compete and be a part of the league, and love your shirt, man. Great shirt.
You went this weekend or last weekend, didn't you?
I was there on Friday. Yeah. It's best place.
It is unbelievable. I mean, my wife walked around. She's like, "This is great. We're just walking around, but I've never been so happy. Just walking around in circles at Augusta."
It's a place that you just got to be happy.
It's true. It's true. Rhett, appreciate it.
Thanks, Barrett.
That'll do it for this edition of College Football Smothered and Covered. Appreciate you guys checking out the show. A reminder, give us a 5-star, give us a 1-star, write a review. Don't really care if it's positive or negative. I just want to know what you think. The crew here at College Football Smothered and Covered can definitely adjust to your wishes and your input, so please do that. Enjoy your Thursday. We'll see you Friday. We'll also have a weekend feast coming up over the weekend for the best of the best of College Football Smothered and Covered for this week. Until then, have a great day, everybody.